this system of free the mind is dependent upon, first of all, study. If you don't do your homework, then it's going to be very hard for you to go inside yourself in depth and truly know yourself. And I should say this, in this system, the depth of transformation determines everything else. If you undergo surface study, because there's one component, there's another component to this transformation. If you undergo only surface study of your history, both African and African American history and culture, then it'll be a surface identity transformation. So depth is real key. And that means this is a lifelong process, knowing yourself. And on another plane, knowing your gifts. We're all miniature universes in a larger universe. So I don't care how much you know about yourself, there's much more to know. And just ask your mother. She'll tell you, you know. I know when my mother, you know, we had our conversation, she would sometimes tell me stuff about myself because I thought I really knew myself, just basic stuff. And I'd say, oh. So don't think you're ever going to fully know yourself, because there are many dimensions to who you are. And that includes who you are as an African-American person. So the depth of study is real important when it comes to the depth of transformation. So when we look at the state of Black people in this country, therefore, if we're going to really understand it, then what we need to do is, first of all, do a deep study of ourselves. And so one of the things that I'm going to be offering to people who are interested and who are undergoing this transformation process is an introductory African and African-American history and culture reading list. And this reading list is annotated, which means that there's a description of what's in each of these books briefly. And what's important about this reading list is it follows pretty much the pattern that people who are undergoing serious awakening go through. It's basic stuff, starting with basic stuff and then working your way up. And so when it comes to this identity transformation system, the reading is very important. So you can get this list by either contacting me at my email address, O T'Shaka, TSHAKA, at sbcglobal.net, or by looking at the collective emails. We send out emails to advertise this show, and look at that and send me a message saying that you would like to receive a copy of this introductory reading list. Because in embarking on this transformation process, it's not a joke. And when we were undergoing awakening, no one told us, well, this is the first book you should read. You read whatever you got your hands on. And that usually was good enough as a start. But since we know how this works, there are some things that are really basic that you need as a foundation to build on them. So that's the thing. This enables us, because this process is a process of drawing from both African and African-American history and culture, and then using the African component to apply to your own situation here, which means also studying the history of African people in this country and around the world. So this is a twofold process. The awakening process isn't just around Africa, because if all you're doing is studying ancient Africa or modern Africa, what relevance is it going to have to your life? You have to be able to apply it to your life. And this is what's different about this from a classroom. And you're going to see in a minute just how different that is, because there's a second component to this. So that This is a matter of us drawing from the past. In the Sankofa experience in Ghana, you have a bird called the Sankofa bird that draws back to go forward, draws from behind to go forward. And so this is the whole point here. We have to draw from this past to be able to go forward. The second thing I want to stress about this system is this. This system doesn't work if all you're doing is reading. All you're doing is accumulating facts. There's a transformational process involved in that reading, and that's going to be covered in the beginning of next year in a 12-week course that we're going to offer on YouTube. That'll enable you to go deeply into this so that you can apply it and have the tools for understanding how you apply this to yourself. But the second component that goes side by side with this is transformation does not occur just through reading a book. Transformation occurs through active involvement in some kind of change in your society. Malcolm X and Amilcar Cabral, myself and others who underwent transformation, we weren't just sitting in some library reading. We were actually involving ourselves in some kind of way in ways to improve and change the lives of our people. Now, what that is, it varies per person because it's based on your interests. It's based on what you do best. So whatever that is that promotes the advancement of people, that's key. I was referring to Amilcar Cabral before, and he made the point that the awakening process is not completed until the person who's undergoing awakening joins in a movement for liberation. And in the process of that, becomes a servant of the people, works with the people, doesn't come in to direct or lead people, but comes in to make their contribution. My involvement in the movement, when I joined, I didn't come in to be a leader. I was a foot soldier in the Black freedom movement. Everybody has their own motives when they join a movement. But generally, if you're going to benefit from it, it's to make your contribution. And so the fact that I ended up being a leader, that was something that was in part encouraged by people around me. It was in part me seeing certain things. But my main motive wasn't to lead. My main motive was to make a contribution to aid in the freedom of our people. And it's when you commit yourself to a cause greater than yourself, that's where the real growth is. That's the real growth. That's the same thing in families. You know, you're committing yourself to a relationship, to a wife, a husband. You're committing yourself, if you have children, to developing them. That's a cause far greater than you. And the growth comes both ways, the children and you and your mate. So joining the movement is a key component. And right now there are many movements, but there's a major one, but it depends on what you're interested in. And involve yourself in what you're interested in.